Hello everybody, welcome back to RenderBots. My name is James and today we're going to be looking at doing a realistic render. We've not done this before, so I thought it'd be cool to do something that looks really realistic. And we're going to learn some cool stuff along the way. So let's have a look at the image I've already made for us today. So as you can see here, this is what we're going to build. So we've got a glass, so we're going to build the glass, and we've got some Scotch in here, or whether the liquid you want to put inside of here. We've got some funky ice cubes, and we've got a little light over here that's casting a shadows. It's kind of hitting this rim here, and it's casting a shadow, and it's actually causing something this called caustics. And the idea is it's when light reflects off another item, it kind of gives you this really cool and very realistic image. So there's only one light in this whole scene, so we're going to go ahead and build this for you today. Okay, we're here inside of Cinema 4D now, and we're going to go and get us a image to look at. Now, the first thing we've got to do is, if you Google Scotch glass, or just Scotch in general, you'll find there's going to be loads of images for you. Once you've got an image, we're going to just save that to the desktop. In this case, we've already got one, so let's go ahead and add that image to our plane here. So we see here we're in the word front, or you can be inside or whatever, but we probably want to be in the front here. Click on this little window here. That's going to make it full screen, and we're going to go to the word options here and configure all. Now, once I go to, say, options there, configure all, it's just down here. We get this menu up over here. Now, inside of here, you'll see the word back, and in there, you've got the word image. And if I follow that all the way through to the three dots, click on there, and it's asking us what image do you want to grab hold of. So we're going to use this one called Scotch here, and as I said, I just got this from the internet, so you'll be able to find one quite similar. So that's great. It's got the glass into my scene here. Now what I need to do, the first thing I need to do is maybe straighten up a little bit. Also reduce the opacity here, the transparency. Okay, so to do that, you'll see here the word transparency. If I drag that through, we'll see it starts to fade that. So we can, there we go, something like that. So because there's nice, lots to work with. Also, so this green line, this is going to be the symmetry part, if you like. So I've got to kind of get this glass moved over so it's in line with this. And to do that, we've got the X here, and you'll see that if I drag this backwards and forwards, it will actually start to move that image for me. And as you can see, I only need to put that somewhere in the dead center like that. Okay. Also, a bit of rotation. You see, if I click on that, it'll rotate it in different ways. So just skew it a little bit. And as you see, it's skewed a little bit, but I think that's pretty much straight. Okay, now let's zoom in here. So I'm going to use this cursor, and it's going to zoom in. So I'm going to keep the size of the image because it's actually perfect for what I need to do. And inside of here, I'm aiming to start at the lower end of here. Now obviously we see that the base is actually flat, and again the picture really is a guide for me in this, so don't worry too much about getting this wrong. You can change it as and when you go. So with the image, again in that pretty much the centre there, which looks pretty much right, what we're going to do is we're going to go and actually draw around the edge of this. Okay, so to do that, we're going to jump into our little spline button here. And inside of here, we've got all these ones that we can pick for. We're going to choose the word Bezier here. Okay, give that one click. Now what it does is it lets us now create points across this image. So if I give it a click right there, boom, there we go. Let's do another one here. And as you can see, it starts to draw that along. And we can change this like that to make sure it's kind of flattish. Now as you see, if I try and do a point here, you see it's hitting the arrow. This is something I come across. So if you zoom in and use these and move along, you can see that actually we can get pretty close to that. And you'll see we follow that along, and there again. Okay, then we'll start to get this little lift inside of here, okay? Cool, right? So we're just going to draw around the outside here. There we go. Do-do-do. Again, zoom in if it starts to waver at all from there. So let's go up there. Perfect, that's looking pretty good. Again, I'm just zooming in as we go. It starts to teeter off to the left here in a second. So see that nice straight bit there. So you see these are really clever little tools here, and then we need to maneuver around inside of there. Let's get to the top. Okay, so at the top, and again we can move this out a little bit if you want to go like that, or extend it up and down. So these arrows are really cool for us. Now, it's not just that, because if I just left it as that, it's going to create like a solid cylinder. So what I need to do is give this glass a lip or an edge. So by doing, what I've got to do is actually come inside of here. See, and create that little edge. And now mimic that all the way down the page. So this will be the thickness of the actual glass. You can see I'm heading for the same spots. Ooh, let's go back here. I'm heading for the same sort of spots where I was before, okay? Alright, now what we can do is, let's come back to there. Perfect. And again, remember we can bring these in and out, so if you make a mistake, don't worry too much about it. If you're using a Mac, Command R will undo a spot as well. Okay, looking pretty good. There we go. Now here's the funky bit, because what I want to do is obviously include the thickness of this glass here, which is typically what Scotch glasses look like. They've kind of got this thick bottom to it. So I'm not going to follow it all the way down, because what I want to do is slowly bring it across here, you see? Yeah. Okay, see that? Good, right? Now what I'm going to do is zoom out. There we go. Let's just snap it up to there. And as I said, you can really neat and tidy this up, but obviously for this tutorial we're going to fly through this and see if we can, yeah, it's all looking out. And you can certainly spend some time moving these points around. Again, if you go to our points tool and select, we can maneuver these however we want. So there's the points tool, this is our selection tool, so with that highlighted and this, we can actually go through and pick any point that we want and maneuver them around. Okay. So if you do make a mistake, no problem. Now, as you see, I've joined that bit up with that bit, so that's in line. Right. So here we go. So there is the outline for our Scotch glass. So let's show you what's going to happen here. So there's a spline, and we're going to go into our little tool here, and we'll see the word lathe. If you hit the lathe button there, you'll see it just puts it above there. Now, let's have a look at our full screen view here. There we go. So you see there's nothing going on there other than the outline of the glass. So I'll drop the spline into the lathe. Badooshk. There is our glass. It's quick as that, really. It's pretty cool, isn't it? So that's all we have to do is move the spline into the lathe and give us that. Now, already you can see a little problem here. So what I'm going to do is go to this view here. Let's go back to here. So in display, we want to go to Gorod shading here. It shows us what's going on inside of the glass. Okay, so if I go down to here, hopefully that's actually okay. Yeah, that's absolutely, that's fine. Okay, let's make sure that's, yeah, that looks good to me. Okay. Let's go to lines there. There you go. Okay. So that's pretty good. Okay, so let's go back to our 3D view. So as you see, we've got our glass inside of there now. Now what we're going to do before we do any of that, I'm going to just bring the spline back out of the glass. Okay, so just dragged it away, and I'm going to get rid of the lathe. So let's just delete the lathe. And we're going to go back to this menu here. So I'm going to type this. I'm going to call this glass. So give it a double click, and we'll call that glass. So that's the glass created. Okay. Now what we do is we need to build the Scotch that's going to sit inside of here, or the liquid, as it were. So I want to get as close to this as I can inside this. Now I've tried loads of ways of putting a cylinder in here, a cylinder, but of course glass isn't always as sphere as we want it to be and overlaps different areas. So I found this technique is probably another way of doing it. So we're going to build another spline and draw inside of here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're back into our sort of side or front view here, and I'm going to zoom in on this section here, and then go to our spline again, choose our Bezier, and again just get as close as I can to that bit there. And as you see, we can drop this down or whatever we want to do from here. So there's our first one. If I zoom a little bit here to here, again just drop that down a little bit. On there, drop it down a bit, and I'm being careful so it doesn't interweave with the glass. inside of this. Again, anybody got another technique of filling the glass up any other way? Feel free to share. This is all stuff I've come up with myself and watching different tutorials and things, and I found this to be probably the easiest way of doing this. Let's click back up in here. Again, just make sure that my Scotch sits within inside of this. Let's do another one here. Lovely. And let's take it to maybe there. How full is it? It's pretty full, isn't it? Let's just do another one. So let's zoom in nice and tight. Let's do another one there. Now, what's interesting here is the fact that we're not going to create a lip like we did with the glass. We're just going to keep it, that spline, as that. And I'll show you why. So let's go and hit that button there. Let's go back to our perspective view and we can have a little look around. So we've called it spline here, so let's call this liquid. Okay. And with the liquid, we're going to do the same that we did before. So go down to our subdivision here. We're going to choose the lathe and drop our liquid into that lathe. Now, what we should get is that, which is pretty cool. But we need to we need to draw it off the top. Okay, so let's go back to our line here. And what you need to do is put a point back to here, so it's a solid circle. So let's drop the liquid back out there for a second. Let's get rid of the lathe. Keep it all simple. So we're back to the liquid, and what we want to do is we just want to move a point from here all the way back into here. So let's just do a point like that. Should be on the money. Okay. So hopefully you've got that. Let's jump back to here. So now we can see that we've got our liquid spline there and the spline for the glass. So let's go into our lathe again and drop our liquid into that. Let's have a little look. Yes, magic. There it is. Okay. So that's perfect, and that's going to be our liquid. And then we've got our glass. So we need another lathe for that as well, obviously. So let's go to the lathe on that. Glass is there. Cool. Okay, so inside of our we've got that thing. Now we can see they've got quite a few polygons in here, but the edge is actually still very sort of angular. Okay, so very simply what we can do here is go to the actual lathe. Let's rename that glass as well, just to make sure it's all. Change that to liquid. There we go. So let's go to the glass thing here, and we'll see how many subdivisions are inside of here. There's 24. So if I ramp that up, you start to see as I go up there. 60. Now, obviously, you know, less polygons the better when it comes to rendering, especially if you're doing a realistic image. You can afford to do quite a few of these, and the image will look really tight. You know, there'll be no sort of hard edges, if you like, and that looks roughly about right. And again, we'll render this a few times to make sure we've got it somewhere there. Next thing, let's look. So we've got the word glass, okay, and in subdivisions we've gone to 68 on there. So let's go to the liquid. Let's ramp that up as well. Let's go to 68 as well. Of course, you can double click in here and type that in, but pumped it in. There you go. So there is our glass with our liquid in there. So let's just minimize those two. Okay, so that's a good bit of modeling done there. Now, what we'll do is we'll build the glass with the liquid in, and then we'll add the ice cubes after that, shall we? Or should we? Let's do the ice cubes now. I think that'll probably work at the same time. So ice cubes. Let's go to the cube. Pretty cool. Now what we can do is we can hide these two. See that? Let's hide those. Okay, and we just get the cube, as you can see there, which is pretty good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, once we've got that cube there, go to our window here, open up our window down there, and we see that there is my cube there. And we see we've got some different shapes of ice inside of here. Now, if I go to this button here, we can sort of change the size. Okay. Just grab them from different angles like that, and let's go to here. What's good is I can place these beautifully and arrange them however I want inside of this glass. Okay. So you can sort of you know, again, use your imagination. Get it wherever you want inside of there. Let's go back to there. Let's have a little look. So yeah, and actually, see, I think some of the cubes are sticking up. If I go back to our reference image, let's just go back to our reference image that I've already completed. Have a little look at that. So you can see some of these are actually sticking up out of the glass. We've got one on a slight angle here as well. Also, they're not square, they're very oblongish, so we're going to be looking to do that. So let's go back to our main view here. Okay, there we go. All right, now let's go to our cube here. So we've got the cube highlighted, and the cube means that we can sort of oblong it. See that? Let's me grab all of that. We can change the height, which is pretty cool. And obviously bring it out a little bit more as well there. So let's, now remember, looking for reference points here. So let's look at our liquid. And that's roughly where I want to be. See, I've got the liquid highlighted there, and the ice cube is just poking out the top of that. So I think, let's just make sure the height's right. Let's just drag that, oh, not that one. Command Z, undo, let's go to cube. Let's make sure that's sitting on the bottom there. And again, it just makes the render look good if we get it somewhere near. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's got some nice height on that as well. So once I've got the one in, what we need to do is we need to sort of, we'll create one and then we'll just duplicate it, save us mucking around. So let's go to the fillet. And the fillet will give us all these little edges here. And again, we can wrap that up a little bit, again, make it nice and soft. Okay, I think that's roughly want to be. And the texture is going to do all the work for us inside of this, okay? So don't worry too much about that. So this would be a good time to file and save it at this point, okay? Desktop. Ooh, project. Okay, so we've gone ahead and we've started to, okay, we've gone ahead and we've saved the project at this point. Really good idea to do that, guys. Okay, we've gone ahead and now we're going to just uncheck both of these. Let's take a look inside. Oh, there's our little ice cube there. Perfect. Okay, what I'll probably do is put a floor in here now as well. So let's get our little plane here. There's our plane. Again, we can grab these little orange bits and stretch those out. Or, if we go up to here, give it a click, and we can just sort of make it huge, right? Just click and drag away. Now this will be a nice plane for our floor to sit on. And again, what we're looking to do is make sure that plane sits at the bottom, so our glass is sitting on it, like so. Okay, so you see we've got that somewhere near there. There we go, let's drop it a little bit there, and again we can go back and alter that if we need to. So we can see our glass is now, and I'll just rename that floor. It's good to keep these things organised, guys and girls. Okay, so there's our glass, looking pretty sweet there with our first little ice cube in. So now it's all down to texturing. Okay, so we're going to look at texturing all this to bring the whole scene alive. So let's go ahead and do the glass first. Okay, let's do the glass first. So to do the glass, the first thing we do is give it a double click down here. This is our texture area here. It brings up a little matte object. If I give that a double click, it's going to open up that for us. Now we're going to name this glass. There we go. Again, keeps it nice and organised. If we uncheck glass, go to transparency, give that a tick inside there, and change this to 1.3. Okay, isn't that amazing? On refraction, 1.3 automatically gives us this. It's pretty nice as well, isn't it? So that's it. You can actually play a lot inside of here, but for this, I think it just does a really good job. 1.3 inside of there. Okay, so with that done, let's click and drag this to, you can see drag it to the actual item here, but if you actually go to the word glass, we'll see that it's already created that for us inside of there. Now, if I give this a render, because I know you're dying to hit the render button, yeah, not too bad, right? We got that kind of going on. Let's get this floor a little bit higher there. Let's have a little look. Not too bad at all. It's floating inside of there. There we go. Doesn't look very realistic at the moment, but we see that the minute we added that, we've got quite a nice thickness of the glass down here. It's all looking pretty good. So we're going to leave that for the glass. Now, the liquid. So what I can do here is if I hold the command key and drag outwards, you'll see it creates a copy. So click and hold with the command key held down on your Mac, if you're using a Mac, click and drag that to the right. And it gets this word called glass one. Now I'm going to double click that, name that liquid. Okay, and give that a double click. Now once you give that a double click, it opens up our menu again. And in transparency here, you'll see that if I hit the colour, we can start to change this around, right? It's good, isn't it? We're going to move this along. Oh, make it drinking green liquid. Horrendous. So what we can do, we need to change the RGB. Now I've got this set to what I think is the right colour. But do obviously have a place. So if I hit that one, we're going to type in 227. Oh, pretty good. 192. Okay. 227. 192. Okay, better. And then 139. Oh, that's it. It's done it. Perfect. Okay, so that should do the job. So if I drag that now to the word liquid, okay, we'll see that's gone transparency as well. So grab a liquid into the liquid thing. Let's hit render now. Yes, pretty good. Okay, not too bad, eh? Right, so fear not, we're nearly there. So that's looking pretty good. Now what we'll do is look at something called setting up the render correctly, because at the moment we're just using a standard software render. So we're going to go and hit, before we do the ice, we're just going to go and hit this render settings here. Now see it's got standard render, so we can change that to physical. Okay. We're going to turn something called caustics on while we're here. So in the word effect here, we'll see the word caustics, and that switches that on, which is exactly what we're going to leave that exactly how it is there as well. See the word save. We're going to save it, obviously. Let's change it to a JPEG. Let's pick a space for it to go to desktop, and we call it test render 1. Press save there. And again, we're going to leave those settings as that for now. Okay, there's lots more we can do sort of here, but caustics we need to switch on by pressing the effect and adding it from inside of here. And it's now there for us. Okay, so physical render, caustics. Let's go to output. You see we can change the resolution here to make it look pretty good. Again, the higher resolution, you know, the more detail, the more finer the result inside of here. I'm going to leave it maybe 1280 by 1024. Okay, so let's zoom in, hit the render button. Now, of course, it'll take a little bit longer to render. It's starting to look at a few things now. Yeah, nice and tight. And of course, really, until we add our light, we're not really going to see much more. So let's add a light. You'll see it adds it straight away. This is just a normal light. And we're going to drag it to the right. Okay, and lift it up a bit. Okay, so it's sitting about roughly there, just to the left of it. So if I hit render now, okay, so light's doing a little bit more work for us there, but we need to give the light a few more settings. So let's do this bit, and then we can really concentrate on the ice cube and get that out. So the light is on. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is let's go to shadows and choose shadows soft mapped. Okay, now once we've done that inside of general Omni shadow lights, we're going to move to the word shadow and just check that down to 80% there. Okay, 80%, press enter. Perfect. Okay, and that's going to give us a nice soft thing there. Now if I go to caustics here, I know the render's set up for it, but until we actually tell which light to start to do that, this is where we need to make sure we switched on. Give it a click there. Then the energy settings, we're going to make this, and again, watching loads of tutorials on this, for this particular one I find this to work out the best. This is 500%. Photons, again, we can change this to 90,000, or just 90, 1, 2, 3, there's your thousands inside there, and give that a press enter there. So let's have a look at the render now. There you go. Now rendering that scene will take some time. I'm actually running a MacBook Pro, 15-inch Retina, 4 GHz processor, 16 GB of RAM. It's the 2014 late model, so it's working pretty good there, and it's pretty quick. So one thing I just want to do is create a texture for this floor. And as you can see from our finished picture here, it's kind of like a light beige colour, which really brightens up the whole scene. So let's go ahead and create that texture for the floor. But otherwise, not bad. The caustics is working pretty good. So let's give it a double click down here. Creates that there. Let's give it a click. Name it floor, like so. Double click that. Go to colour here. Again, so I think let's pick like a yellowish, like that. So 222.01.124, but we're looking for that kind of shade there. Lovely. Let's click and drag that to the floor. Brilliant. Okay. It's quite bright, but let's render that out and have a look at that. Okay, a little garish. So let's drop that down a little bit. Let's move it a little bit more. There we go. Let's try that. That's it. So 222.211.168. As you can see, that changing all these things will make a big difference to making it look as realistic as possible. Let's hit render. Okay, not too bad at all. Let's make this floor a little bit bigger, so we can sort of let's make sure it's a little bit bigger. To word floor there. There we go. Okay, so let's work on this ice, shall we? So let's get rid of the glass and the liquid, just by hitting those buttons there. I mean, concentrate on the texture for this. So let's go ahead and create that texture. Double click down here. Okay, brings up another matte. I'm going to name this ice. We'll give that a double click. So with this, let's uncheck this. Okay, let's go to transparency. So inside here again, we'll make that refraction 1.3, just like the glass that we had previously. Okay, now inside of here we've got the word. We've got to go inside of here and. So reflectance is 1.3, which again is just like the glass from before. What we need to do is, from here, let's have a little look. You can also add colour here as well. So inside the ice, let's go to transparency, switched on. We've put 1.3 inside of here. Okay, so make sure that's on. We've got that same glass looking stuff we had before. Now, we're going to go to the word displacement down there and give that a tick. Now, what displacement's going to do is actually give us that texture that we're looking for to make an ice look like ice. So with displacement on like that, go to the word texture, select the word noise, which is just there. Okay. Now, if we've got to click on this button here. Okay, what that does is it's going to create those polygons for us. Now that should look pretty much all we need to do. Let's have a look, and as you see straight away, it's created that really cool look there. So let's drag that to the cube. Okay, and let's go ahead and give this a render. Not bad, hey, look at that. So a really quick and easy ice cube. That's pretty good, isn't it? So just give that a quick render and you see it's already done. So let's just make sure we got that right. So we got transparency set to 1.3. So refraction on the transparency to 1.3. Leave reflectance on. Go displacement. With texture, we added the word noise. And then hit the tick box there. And that will give us our beautiful cube almost instant. You see the light is also hitting that and casting that refraction straight away through there. So a little zoom in and get close up. Now, as you see, the minute we zoomed in and we hit the render button, it starts to work straight away at creating that little ice cube there. It's not bad, is it? That's really nice. Again, you know, I followed a few tutorials on this to make this look, you know, as quick and simple as we can do it on here inside of YouTube. There you go. Ice cube. Perfect. Perfect. Lovely. There's our ice cube. So we need 2 of these. Okay, so let's turn everything on. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so there's our ice cube there. So let's Command C, Command V. That's Command Copy and Paste. That's going to create us our second cube. give that a click inside there, cube like that. And let's maneuver this around a little bit inside of here. Now to make this work, what I kind of did here is I hit the side view, zoom out like that. And we see we've got the one cube there. So what I did is I took the first cube and moved it along a little bit. So it kind of sat over here. And with this one, just to give it a little bit of movement really, it's hit the rotation tab, click and drag that. You see, sort of lean it across, so it's sort of like leaning against the other one. And again, go to our movement here. Just up and get that somewhere like that. See? Okay. Yeah, so it's sitting inside there. So we've got that nice sort of movement in there. I mean, obviously you could reduce the size at this point. So let's go and have a look at this. So let's where's my light gone? It's just here, isn't it? So let's zoom in a little bit. Put it maybe there, and give that a render. Okay, so as you can see, that render took 2 minutes 52 seconds on here, but as you can see, that's pretty impressive. We've got a nice volume of liquid inside of there with those ice cubes. Again, you can play around and put any type of ice cubes inside there, change the size, create your own little object and drop in there maybe even your logo or your name. Create some ice out of that. That'd be pretty good, right? But as you see, that's pretty much it. So there you go, guys. Creating our first realistic render with Cinema 4D there. I really love that. It's a real simple technique, but as you see, setting those render settings up, knowing how the lights work and how it reflects off that off the glass, and creating those beautiful caustics on the side there, just beautiful. I hope you found that helpful. I know I certainly did. Learned a lot from it. Take care until next time. Don't forget, there's all my details just down there. You can tweet me, email me, send me your renders. It'd be great to see how you did this. Maybe even create maybe a tall glass with Coke in it and put some mouse cubes in that. Okay, until next time, take care, happy rendering. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.